Yes, Prisha, tell me, what are they doing in your school? Prisha,
Yes, sir.
what are they doing in your school, beta?
Sir, my childhood.
My childhood. I think last time, what did we do? No man are foreign, right? And we
Yes.
finished the explanation, right or wrong?
Yes,
And
sir.
then wrote the poem, right? Okay, and I think today we had to start with what chapter? Packing itself, right? Okay, fine. Okay. So before we start with the explanation of this chapter, let me tell you that there are three friends in this particular chapter, or also it's an excerpt which is taken. Okay, and basically, they decide to travel together or hang out together. But before traveling, it requires an extreme planning. Okay, and that extreme goes extreme, of course. Can you, reduce the intensity of the fan? So, okay, great. All right. So these three friends, they decide they have to travel, and probably the kind, of packing it requires. Like imagine if you have to travel anywhere and you had to, like you're planning a long trip. Okay, and so you start packing, before 3-4 days, so that you don't miss out anything at the end moment, right? So that's the thing that happens here. But there is something that they mess up with, because these three are not good packers. Okay, and somehow they mess up in their own planning and their own packing. So this is what the entire chapter is all about. So the fun that we are going to have is the fall of events. Okay, and how they mess up with their own packing matters the most. Okay, so acha, any doubts in your paper that you had? Let me know if it is any, so that I can discuss the doubts and then we can start with this chapter. Do you have any doubts, beta? In paper? How many marks of it was it?
35.
What are you expecting it to be? 30 plus, everyone? Yes or doubtful? Huh? Doubtful about your own marks? How many of you claim that it will be more than 30? More than 30, anyone? No? More than 25? Yes. So then how can you say that it was a good paper? If you are not scoring more than 30 plus, then it should not be a good paper, right? Anyways, chalo, koi baat nahi. Vasu, I cannot see you, beta. The camera is off, I guess. Keep it on so that I can see you. Okay? Great. So we'll be starting with the packing. Okay. So I hope everyone is all set with this chapter called packing. Everyone has got the textbook online and offline. Great.
Sir.
But I require one textbook here. If anyone can give me. Sharing with them. Fine, no issues. So, of course, the word meanings have been given, and I've also given you the basic instinct of this particular chapter. You see, if you'll turn the page on page number 84, you'll find three friends who are struggling with packing. If you see, one is messed up on page number 84, and the other two are enjoying and chilling. If you see page number 85, you realize that two people are messed up and the other one is enjoying. The one who is enjoying on page number 85 is Jerome, okay, and the other two are George and Harris. For your kind of information, the name of the friends is George, Harris, and Jerome. But the one who is sitting on the right hand side on page number 85 and enjoying, luft uthate हुए, और कोई नहीं है लेकिन Jerome है, ठीक है? And on the page number 84, what you could see in the center is Jerome himself. So at first he's messed up, and in the second page he enjoys, and the others are messed. So none of them are good packers. All right. So I'm sure this chapter is going to be fun for every one of us, including me. So without waiting a minute anymore, let us begin with the understanding of this chapter. Okay. We are going to do the same thing like what we do every time. But as far as poem is concerned, of course, I will be reading and explaining. But if the prose is concerned, I ask students to read and what pattern do we follow, right? So I want a good reader who can read. Will you be reading aloud? Okay. So what you have to do is you have to stop after each paragraph. Yeah. Continue.
I said I had tried. I rather tried myself.
I would. It's not I had. I would. Okay.
I rather pride myself on writing. Writing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person. It surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. They fell into suggestion for the suggestion because it had said something uncanny about me. George spread himself over the easy chair and talked his legs on the table.
All right. Fine. So of course, the actually discussion of the chapter, or probably the discussion amongst the friends, it starts by Jerome saying that I will pack. I will pack the luggage of our trip. And of course, there was something very interesting about the narrator, that he used to enjoy packing somehow. And when you do something that you enjoy or something that you like, of course the fun is totally doubled. Okay. And the narrator says that of many other things that he knows, probably this is one of the other things that he knows better than anyone else. Okay. And any other person living on this planet, I know better than him. That's what he claims. Okay. It surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. He says that there are many things when it comes to packing, or probably there are many things which I can definitely take pride upon, that I feel that I know this and I can do better than anyone else. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. अब अच्छे खासे जॉर्ज और हैरिस उसका हाथ बटा रहे थे पैकिंग में, तो जेरोम ने बोला कि यार ठीक है, ये तुम मुझ पे छोड़ दो, ठीक है, तुम लोग बैठो, मैं देखता हूँ मैं कैसे अच्छी तरह से पैक करता हूँ, ठीक है, तुम्हें इसमें हाथ बटाने की जरूरत नहीं है. You leave this entire matter upon me and let me do the packing. They fell into suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. And of course, when you know that you don't have to do anything, so you're relaxed about it, right? So somehow even George and Harris also wanted the same thing, you see. So, they decided to sit aside. All right. And the way they sat, it showed that they were almost enjoying the thing. Okay. So George spread himself over an easy chair. George आराम से easy chair में बैठ गया, and Harris cocked his legs on the table. Harris जो था वो टेबल के ऊपर पैर रख के आराम से बैठ गया. ये देखते कि चलो जेरोम कैसे पैकिंग करते हैं वो भी देख ले, है ना, अच्छा खासा हम हेल्प कर रहे थे, तो बोला नहीं नहीं नहीं, I'll do it. So let us see now how Jerome packs the bag. Yeah, over to you.
This was hardly what I had made. Of course, both items was the job. There is a total quarter of a under my garage. But visiting them aside every now and then. Oh, you here, let me do it. There you are simple enough. Really thinking that as you might say, right? Something it is the way.
Taking.
In the way it irritated me. There is nothing much irritates me more than other people sitting about doing nothing but working.
Yes, he says, now when Harris and George, they were sitting idle, thinking that Jerome has said them that he would do the packing. So Jerome clarifies. He says that, this was not I meant actually. What I had meant was, of course, that I should boss the job. That means I should tell Harris and George that you have to pack like this. You don't have to pack like this. You do one thing, you put that bottle over there. Okay, you do one thing, you put this bag over here. So that's how, actually Jerome wanted to do it. Doesn't mean that he would himself involve, into this matter and get the bags packed. He wanted to boss the job. That means, he wanted to tell, hey, Harris, do one thing, you put that bag over there. Okay, yeah, all right. George, you do one thing, you put that bottle in this. Okay, yeah, no, not like this, but in this way. So he wanted to boss the job, not in a way that he would himself alone do the packing, but of course, he would boss the job. And that Harris and George should potter about under my direction. That means they should do what I'm asking them to do under my direction. So they don't have to use their own brain. They have to do what I say, what I tell them to do. Okay. I'm pushing them aside every now and then with, no, oh, you, here, let me do it. So समझो कि when he said that he wanted to boss the job, what he wanted to say is that somewhere in the middle of George and Harris packing, he would interfere and say, "Oh, this is not the way you have to pack. Okay, let me do it. Come on. Okay, see, this is how I have to pack. Okay, oh, not like that. Let me do this. Okay." So in this way, he wanted to boss the job, and actually, making it very simple enough and teaching them that how packing takes place. Okay, they're taking it in the way they did irritate me. Now, the way they took this instruction, it actually irritated me because this is what not I meant. There is nothing does irritate me more seeing than other people sitting about doing nothing when I'm working. And the narrator says that कि इस दुनिया में और कोई ज्यादा irritating चीज नहीं है जो मुझे इरिटेट करती है ये देख के कि जब मैं कुछ काम कर रहा हूँ और बाकी सब लोग मुझे देख के मजे ले रहे हैं और they are sitting idle having fun and I'm the only one who is working. Okay, so he says like this, he says that it actually irritates me more like looking at people who are doing nothing and I simply busy in doing all the work around, so that actually irritates me more than anything else. Continue. Allowed. All right. So he says that, एक बार क्या हुआ? See, the narrator is Jerome के Jerome, and we call him as Jerome. Few people will also call it as Jerome. Okay, but either ways, the pronunciation is okay. So what does the narrator say that एक बार मैं एक ऐसे इंसान के साथ रहता था जिसने मुझे ऑलमोस्ट पागल कर दिया. ओके, वो यहाँ वहाँ सोफे में बैठता रहेगा और मुझे देखता रहेगा कि मैं चीजें कैसे करता हूँ, how I used to work or how I used to complete my task. That man who used to sit on sofa here and there to completely and ideally watched me doing what I was doing. And when I asked about it, he said that it was actually watching him was fun. That was what that man said, that when I work, it literally gave him fun. It literally made him entertained. Okay, and that I used to actually mess up with. Okay, now I am not like that. लेकिन अब मैं वैसा नहीं हूँ. That's what the narrator says. He says that अभी मैं ना एक जगह पे बैठ नहीं सकता. मुझे ना आदत है जब कोई काम करता हूँ तो मैं खड़ा होके यहाँ वहाँ टहलता रहता हूँ जेब में हाथ डाल के और सुपरिटेंड करता हूँ. मतलब I observe them. Okay, like how they are working, and I often tell them how to do the work. That's what my habit is now. All right, and I cannot get rid of it. That's what the narrator says. That now, whenever I see someone working, I just loll around here and there, and I keep on, telling them how to do the stuffs. Okay, and that's my nature. In fact, that's my energetic nature, and I cannot help it, and I cannot get rid of that. That's what the narrator says. Over to you. Let us see what happens.
However, I did not say anything, but started the wedding. It seemed a longer job than I thought it was going to be. But I got the well finished at last, and I sat on it and tried it. And if you're going to put the books in, say them. And I looked around and found I had forgotten them. That's just like he couldn't have said the word until I had got the bag shut and start, of course, and George laughed. One of those irritated
Continue.
I opened the bag and packed the books in. And then, just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush.
All right. So next is what happens is that still I couldn't say anything. I did not say anything. Even if they were sitting idle, George and Harris, I simply started packing the bags. I did not say anything. But it took actually a longer time than expected in packing the bag. And finally, when I finished packing the bag, when I sat on it and then I strapped it. It's like Indian luggage. When you pack it. So when you're planning a long trip, you have to sit over the bag and then close the strap. You see, how many of you have ever done this? See, if you have not done this, then you are not Indian, okay? Expecting to pack more than the bag's expectations, right? So finally, when you put everything inside the bag, you will see, even if you're ultra rich, but this thing will never go out of you, right? So, when you pack a lot of things inside the bag than expected, then, bag also suffocates. Bag is not really मैं बंद नहीं होने वाली हूँ, ठीक है? तेरे को जो करना है कर, मैं बंद नहीं होगी. अरे ऐसे कैसे बंद नहीं होगी? रुक मैं बैठता हूँ उसको. And then the moment you say अरे नहीं, and then the moment you sit, you ask someone to close the strap because you are not able, right? So you ask your siblings or cousins, or your mother or father to help you out, or your father or mother, trying to ask you to help you out to close the strap. But आप भी बहुत smart, ठीक है ना? मेरे साथ एक बार ऐसा हुआ. When my father sat on the bag and he asked me to close the strap, अब मैं तो बहुत excited था. तो मैंने जैसे strap ऐसा खींचा ना, बंद करो, strap हाथ में आया. And it was a very horrifying scene. So this often happens, and my father's entire labor got vague, unclear. जरा को फिर दूसरा बैग लेना पड़ा, पूरा सामान इधर से उधर शिफ्ट करने को बोला, फिर से वो बैग के ऊपर बैठे, लेकिन इस बार मुझे नहीं कहा कि you will close the strap. He asked my sister, and sister is very soft, ला पापा मैं करती हूँ. The daughters are very kind of good girls to their fathers, right? So she did very nicely, and I was since then never told to close the strap because I know I messed up with the strap once upon a time, So जब उसके ऊपर बैठा और जब उसने बैग बंद की, Jerome, it was George, or probably Harris, उसने पूछा कि यार तूने बूट्स तो रखे ना अंदर, बूट्स रखने तो भूल नहीं गया ना तू अंदर. और जेरोम बोलता कि ये है हैरिस, ठीक है ना? उसको ऐसा पता नहीं चलता कि जब तक मैं चेन बंद कर रहा हूँ पहले बोले कि तूने बूट्स रखे कि नहीं. तो चेन बंद करने के बाद ही उसने बोला. And George couldn't stop laughing because George and Harris knew what amount of time actually I invested in packing that one bag. It took more time than the expected ones from Jerome. And George laughed out like anything. And ऐसी laugh ना, मतलब होता है ना कि जब आपके दोस्त इस तरह से हंसते हैं आपको गुस्सा आता है. क्यों मतलब खेत का लाफा मारने का मन होता है ना? Have your friends laughed like this ever before? Like you feel like not to laugh and join them, but simply to slap them on the face, right? So those kind of irritating laughs, and that was exactly the laugh of George, and that actually irritated Jerome, right? Because George knew what amount of pain Jerome took actually to close the bag, and after closing the bag with a lot of efforts, it is Harris. And he messed up with the boots. He didn't keep boots inside. They do make me so wild, and this kind of irritating laugh, Jerome says that often irritates him. Senseless laugh, he says that this kind of laughs are senseless. इसका कोई अर्थ होता नहीं. And see, 9 out of 10, your friends, they will laugh for no reasons. See, देख लो, ठीक है, आपके पास 3 दिन है, देख लेना, आपके फ्रेंड्स है ना, कहते वो तो बिना रीजन के हंसते रहते. आपने देखा ऐसा कभी दोस्त पूरी दुनिया में नहीं मिले? आपके दोस्त हैं बोले कितने पकौड़े खाए? See, this is not the matter of laughing, right? आप समझो कि मेरी कैपेसिटी 50 पकौड़े खाने की है. So I will eat 50 pakodes. If she has a capacity of eating only 30s, so after crossing 30, she stops. But I'll still continue. And she'll laugh on over. पेड़ की कुआ है, पूरा खाता रहता है, ठूसता रहता है. So yeah, senseless laughs, senseless talks, and I think friends have only been given this right. Your relative will never laugh for no reason. No, your cousins will not laugh. Cousins will laugh, but not as heavy as your friends, because somehow friends have right. I believe कि उनको हंसने का हक है, उनको मारने का हक है, लेकिन उनको डांटने का हक है, उनको सब कुछ करने का हक है, right? And I think that's what the true friendship is, right? If you feel bad if your friend teases you, then you are not friend to it. Come on. Okay, and if your friend, respects you, trust me, he's not your friend. See, your friend needs to insult you. Your friends need to fight with you. Your friends needs to slap you. That's what the true friends are. That's what they are for. All right. So here, Jerome also thought that the kind of laugh that they delivered was totally senseless. Okay, because he knew that he had messed up. All right. And I opened the bag and packed the boots in, and then just I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Then, the moment I put my, boots in the bag, and I was just about to close the bag, and immediately then idea occurred to me. I said, did I put my toothbrush in it? अभी बैग बंद करने ही जा रहा था, but he thought that whether he put his brush or not. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush. होता है, देखो, अगर आपने कभी अपना सामान पैक किया है या फिर कभी हेल्प की है, your parents in packing the bag, your mom or your parents, they'll always tell you, okay, without fail you carry your this thing, and you get it ready because you know that you have a tendency of forgetting. So you get it ready all in advance. Okay, and then you forget. And then your parents say, I told you several times, but no, you don't want to listen. You simply busy chit-chatting. You don't want to pay attention to what your parents say, and now you've messed up. See, I told you have to take it. Now you stay without brushing your teeth for 3 days, and you will know how it looks like when you don't brush your teeth for 3 days. So often it happens. And here in the case with Jeremy, he says that पता नहीं मुझे मैंने मेरा ब्रश रखा भी होता है तो भी मुझे पता नहीं चला कि मैंने मेरा ब्रश रखा है कि नहीं. तो हमें भी एक ऐसी चीज होती है, आप घर से निकल दो ना बाहर, तब आप कंफर्म कर दो मैंने किया कि नहीं, मैंने लाइट बंद की कि नहीं मेरे बेडरूम की. You might have done it, but you are just confirming to your own self. Okay, so he also has a tendency, even if we might have put his toothbrush inside, but he feels that every time it so happens with me that I often cannot come to a conclusion whether I have put my brush or not. Okay, let us see what happens next. Please continue.
But toothbrush is the thing that once me that I am traveling and makes my bag insistent. I dream that I never tried and wake up in a cold
Perspiration.
and get out of my bed and went for it. And in the morning, I pack it before I have used it. Then I unpack again to bed. And it is always the last thing I touch out of the bag and when I decide and forget. Then I have to rush and upstairs for it off with the last moment and carry it to the railway station bag up in my pocket.
Handkerchief. See, is a very curious case, with reference to the toothbrush. He says कि मेरा टूथब्रश ऐसा है ना कि मुझे रात को भी हॉन्ट करता है, ठीक है ना, मुझे रातों में भी टूथब्रश के सपने आते हैं, ठीक है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं कहीं ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ, मैंने मेरा ब्रश लेना भूल गया, तो सम इन द मिडिल ऑफ द नाइट आई वेक अप और मानो लगता है कि मेरी जिंदगी अधूरी है टूथब्रश के बगैर. तो somewhere in the middle of the night it haunts me. I feel like I'm traveling and I haven't carried my toothbrush. Okay, and so in the middle of the night I wake up, I take my brush and I pack it. And in the morning when I wake up again, I feel that, oh, I still have to brush my teeth, but I have put it inside. So I unpack it, take it out, I brush it, put it, pack it again. So it's a process, 3-4 times it happens. Yes. Misery, मतलब, लाचार और ऐसा कुछ, मतलब मेरी लाइफ टूथब्रश के बगैर कुछ है ही नहीं. And I'm helpless, he feels like that. कि टूथब्रश के बगैर तो कोई जिंदगी है ही नहीं इस दुनिया में. There is nothing to live without toothbrush, right? So, he packs it again before he has used it. And, the moment in the morning when he wakes up, he realizes that, oh, I'm still left to brush my teeth. So he will unpack it, use it, okay? And then it will, the last thing in the packing that he'll put it. But somehow it so happens that, it's a tendency of forgetting because he has packed it, unpacked it, packed it, unpacked it. So the frequency of same, he realizes that whether he has packed the toothbrush or not. पैक किया, फिर अनपैक किया, फिर एंड मोमेंट पे रखने के लिए छोड़ देता है, फिर रियलाइज होता है ओ मेरा टूथब्रश हो गया, सब कुछ मैंने पैक कर दिया है. एंड एट द एंड मोमेंट he will put his toothbrush in his handkerchief and put it in his pocket and rush towards the railway station at the last moment. And this is how it's a desi jugaad. And when you pack your bags and everything, you realize, oh, this is important, is left out. So you carry it, in your hands. मेरे साथ ऐसा होता है, मैं कभी जल्दी में होता हूँ, and I stay in the 5th floor. So what I do is, lift basement तक जाती है ना जब गाड़ी पार्क होती है, so मैं जूते में हाथ में ले लेता हूँ when I'm so late, और लिफ्ट में ऐसे भी कौन सा प्रोडक्टिव काम होता है, तो और करना भी, इनको टावर भी नहीं आता मोबाइल में. लिफ्ट कितनों की लिफ्ट में टावर आते हैं नहीं आता. Almost we are sailing in the same boat, right? So I, carry my boots in my hands in the lift. और 5th floor से basement तक जाते जाते मैं boot पहनता हूँ. ठीक है, I make sure that I put my hair properly. Okay, and I because हमारा वो lift is stainless steel, so you can see your face. So it acts like a mirror. And I don't think so anyone must be using lift for this purpose besides using lift for lift purpose. So I do get a stuff. See, so it happens. When you're rushing late, anything is possible, right? You can do anything. Okay, but it's an exceptional case for people who live in bungalows, right? But it's for the people who live in apartments and high rises. People who live on the 10th floor, they have ultra luxury. They have enough time to traveling from the 10th floor to the basement of their high rise. So I think they can do many things while they're traveling from 10th floor to the basement. But here he says that toothbrush is always the last thing that he would pack it. Informally he would pack it. Let us see what happens next. Continue, please. Rummaged.
Into much the same state that they must have been before the world was created, and then
Chaos.
chaos
Rained.
rain. Of course, I found George and Eddie 18 times over, but I wouldn't find my phone. I put the things back one by one, and then everything out and then I found it inside the 2 times that
All right, so let us see what happens. He says that, of course, see, I was not able to find my toothbrush. तो मुझे हर एक चीज ऐसे ऊपर करके मुझे देखना पड़ कि मेरा ब्रश कहाँ है, मेरा ब्रश कहाँ है, मेरा ब्रश कहाँ है, एंड एवरीथिंग जल्दी जल्दी में फाइंड करने के लिए मैं चीजें यहाँ से यहाँ रख रहा हूँ. वही चीज जो मैंने अच्छी तरह से ध्यान से बैग में रखी थी, वही चीजें मैं उल्टी सीधी करके मैं देख रहा हूँ कि ब्रश मेरा गया कहाँ पे. ऑलराइट, एंड he says that चीजें परफेक्ट होती या होगी जब वर्ल्ड बना होगा. तो ऐसे ही मेरा बैग था, जब मैंने पैक किया इट वाज वेरी वेल नाइसली डिजाइंड, बट इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ फाइंडिंग द टूथब्रश I messed up with all the things which were tidily put up in the bag, and it was chaos here and there. आप पता है, तो ऐसी चीज ढूंढते हो कभी कि मतलब पूरी दुनिया ऊपर की नीचे कर दी है to find that thing, and then you messed up. Like अगर आपका wardrobe है, ठीक है, आपको कहीं बाहर जाना है, take out your new clothes to wear, and often your mother complains that you don't know how to take out the clothes from the wardrobe. Does it happen? Does it happen with you? Does it happen with you also? Right? It happens with me also. That no matter how hard you try to take out the clothes, very nice, but then you'll never be able to put it right back like how your mother put it. And then your mother will shout because those are the iron clothes, and you just messed up. Without wearing, you just messed up with the iron clothes because you don't know how to put back the other clothes. Okay, so here he messed up with the entire luggage thing that he put inside the bag. और बोले कि मैंने जॉर्ज एंड हैरिस के करीबन 17 से 18 बार ब्रश मुझे मिल गए होंगे। मेरा ब्रश ढूंढने में मुझे जॉर्ज और हैरिस का ब्रश ऑलमोस्ट 17 से 18 बार मिल गए, लेकिन मुझे मेरा ब्रश मिला नहीं। और उसके बाद तो मैं एक चीज ऐसे I'm doing like this, and then finally I found my brush inside a boot, one of the boots. I repacked once. फिर सब मुझे ये चीज फिर से पैक करनी। But the one who takes pride in the packing skills is now packing the same thing over and over again since many minutes. Let us see what happens next. Over to you.
When I finished all our simple I said to my brother the soap was in or whether it was. When I slammed the basket and spread it, and thought that I had tried my spectacles in it and had to reopen it. What shall I find that of finally it can find there? And then remind us
Remained.
Harry said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours time and pointed that we and John were better to do the rest in a agree instead of a day like we do.
Yes. So now the very interesting element which takes place. He says कि जब सब कुछ हो गया, जब मेरा ब्रश मिल गया, अच्छी तरह से मैंने बैग में रख के बस मैंने पैक ही किया था, ठीक है। जॉर्ज साबुन लिया क्या? साबुन साबुन साबुन। And now you see, it might have checked the patience of Jerome earlier, whether he put his boot in the bag or not, or whether he put his toothbrush in the bag or not. But realizing that after packing it for almost third time, and when George asking him whether he has put the soap inside or not, he was very angry. He said कि देख भाई, ठीक है, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि अंदर सोप है कि नहीं, ठीक है। और ऐसा गुस्सा करके धाड़ करके बैग ऐसे बंद कर दी एंड स्ट्रैप इट। और इसी प्रोसेस में ही रियलाइज कि उसने अपने चश्मे भूल से अंदर ही रख दिए। फिर से बेचारे को बैग ओपन करनी पड़ी और फाइनली बैग बंद हुई 5:10 को रात। ओके, एंड देन देयर रिमेन्ड द हैम्पर्स टू डू। और अब क्या था कि बैग तो पैक हो गई थी, अब दे हैड टू कैरी द फूड बास्केट्स। ओके, Harry said that we should be wanting to start less than 12 hours time. बोलते कि हमें अब से 12 घंटे के बाद निकलने की तैयारी रखनी चाहिए कि हम आज रात को जल्दी सो जाएंगे और सुबह morning 6 or probably maximum 7 we should leave this place and should travel our journey, start our travel. And thought that he and George had better to do the rest. और उसने डिसाइड किया कि एक काम करते हैं, मैं और हैरिस जो है वो दूसरी चीजें पैक करने में लगते हैं। had to do the rest means दूसरी चीजें पैक करना, ठीक है। And I agreed and sat down and they had go. उसके fine fine चलो कोई बात नहीं, मैंने तो बैग पैक कर दी, काम लो तुम दोनों लोग, बाकी सब पैक करना। By doing this, he sat over there. Let us see what happened next. You want to read? Let's do that.
Intending to show you how easy I made no comment I contemplated with the
Exception.
of John
Piles of plates. All right, so अब बारी थी जॉर्ज और हैरिस की पैक करने की। तो धीरे से आराम से उन्होंने पैकिंग करना शुरू किया। और शायद जेरोम को भी बताना चाहते कि देख भाई पैकिंग ऐसे होती है। ऑलराइट, और मैंने कोई कमेंट पास नहीं की। करो जो करना है करो, ठीक है ना, शांति से करना, शांति से करो, मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। मैं सिर्फ राह देख रहा था, आई वॉज जस्ट वेटिंग विद द एक्सेप्शन ऑफ जॉर्ज। जॉर्ज का तो चलो कोई बात नहीं है, लेकिन हैरिस जो है वो इस दुनिया का सबसे घटिया पैकर। Like no one in this planet would ever be as worst as Harris in packing the luggage. And I looked at the piles of plates, और मैं वहां पे बैठा बैठा देख रहा था कि एक जगह पे plates की pile पड़ी है, ठीक है, मतलब the n number of plates put above each other. There are cups, there are kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves and cakes and tomatoes. Everything is lying there itself. Okay, and felt that things would soon become exciting. और उन चीजों को देख के मुझे लग रहा था कि अब थोड़े टाइम में ही मजा शुरू होने वाला है. The fun was about to begin, but Jerome didn't speak a single word. He waited. He waited for that moment to start. Chalo. All right, fine. Pay attention. It says that it did, और fun शुरू भी हुआ. They started with breaking a cup, और उन्होंने ये entertainment शुरू किया कप तोड़ने से. जब कप एक्चुअल में टूटा तब entertainment शुरू हुआ. That was the first thing they did. ये चीज ऐसी थी जो उन्होंने पहले की. They did just to show you what they could do. और उन्होंने ये चीज इसलिए की कि शायद वो लोग यही करने में माहिर थे, चीजें तोड़ने में, फोड़ने में, ठीक है, एंड टू गेट यू इंटरेस्टेड, और शायद आपका अटेंशन भी पाने के लिए उन्होंने ऐसा किया. देन हैरिस पैक्ड द स्ट्रॉबेरी जैम ऑन द टॉप ऑफ द टोमेटो. तो जो स्ट्रॉबेरी जैम था, ठीक है, इतना हैवी था, वो जो ये था हैरिस, उसने टमाटर के ऊपर रखा. And you know, when anything heavy you put on the tomatoes, they are going to get squash, right? अगर आप कभी सब्जी लेने गए हो, there is a science of vegetables. If you know how you have to put the vegetables in the cloth that you're carrying, okay? Your mother, if she accompanies you, she says that never put tomatoes first. The things which can easily get squashed has to be put first. Girls को तो ये पता ही होगा, boys को शायद ये पता ना हो, ठीक है ना? I'm sure, right, girls? You know that very well, right?
Yes.
But boys का ऐसा है, boys को तो अभी पता चला. होता है, fine. There are many things which you know very much late than the girls, right? So जो heavy jam का जो पैकेट था या bottle थी, Harris put it on the tomatoes, right, and squashed it. And they had to pick out the tomatoes with a teaspoon, और अंदर से फिर टीस्पून से tomatoes बाहर निकालने पड़े. And then it was George's turn, और अब बारी थी जॉर्ज. He trod on the butter. उसने बटर के ऊपर पैर रख दिया. I didn't say anything. मैं कुछ नहीं बोला. But I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched him. लेकिन मैं वहां पे आया, टेबल के एज के ऊपर बैठ गया और मैं देख रहा था कि ये क्या चीजें हो रही थी यहाँ पे. Because जब पहले हैरिस and George, they were laughing at Jerome, because now it was Jerome's turn to laugh on Harris and George. Let us see what happened next. Yes, see, now you know, it's always the science on how to pack the luggage, whether that luggage is the things that you're carrying, or that luggage is whether the food items that you are carrying. You should always know how you have to put your food items, because whether it is a food items or whether it is any kind of glass grocery, you have to always, put it in a right way, because if anything happens, they might get smashed and squashed easily. So you have to carry it with very care. So of course, जब मैं मजे ले रहा था इन दोनों के, तब ये दोनों को बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा था, जॉर्ज एंड हैरिस को. I could have said, I felt that. मैं literally बता रहा हूँ कि मुझे बहुत मजा आ रहा था इन दोनों को देख के. It made them nervous and excited. क्योंकि जब मैं entertainment ले रहा था उनसे, and they were messing up with these food items, it equally made them nervous and also excited. And they stepped on things. वो सभी पड़ी हुई चीज के ऊपर पैर रख रहे थे and put things behind them, और चीजें उठा के अपने पीछे रखते थे. And then couldn't find them when they wanted them. और जब कोई चीज की जरूरत होती थी, तब वही चीज उनको मिलती नहीं थी. And they packed the pies at the bottom. Very soft, very delicate pies. They put it at the bottom and put heavy things on the top. And you know what the result must be. Just like in the case with the jam over the tomatoes, there were heavy things over the pies. And put heavy things on the top and smashed the pies. Bichari pies वहीं पे smash हो गई, squash हो गई, सब फलातून हो गया, है ना? They couldn't even eat those things properly. Probably they couldn't even pack it properly. Okay, so it failed. Continue.
More with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life and did it. After God has got it for his people,
Tried to. They tried to.
They tried to put in the letter. It couldn't go in, and what was it couldn't come out. They tried it out like that and put it down on the chair, and Harry sat on it. And it stuck to him, and they were looking for it all over the room.
Yeah. So now what happened? अब क्या था कि they were very confused with the salt thing, और butter तो मतलब it was already messed up. I never saw two men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. Jerome says कि मैंने दो लोगों को एक इतने छोटे से बटर के पैकेट के लिए कभी भी चिंतित नहीं देखा जितना दो लोग एक चीज के पीछे पड़े. बटर गया ना, बटर कहाँ गया, बटर ये लाइक काम करिए, बटर लो ना. They were, these two people were behind the butter. Okay. And after George had got it off his slipper, जब George ने अपने slipper से, he messed up over the butter, he put his step over the butter. तो जब उसने finally butter निकाल दिया अपने slipper से, he tried to put it in the kettle. Kettle होती है ना, किटली. तो उसमें वो butter डालने का try किया. पहली बार तो वो butter अंदर जा नहीं रहा था, और जितना गया था उतना बाहर आ नहीं पा रहा. You see, so it was stuck from both the sides. The butter at first couldn't go in, और जितना अंदर गया था उतना बाहर नहीं आ पा रहा था. Or probably they couldn't get it out. Okay. They did scrape it out at last. Finally, कुछ भी करके अंदर से निकाला तो सही. And put it down on the chair, और निकाल के उन्होंने chair के ऊपर रख दिया. And Harry sat on it. और Harry वही chair के ऊपर बैठ गया, and it stuck to him. So I think this is what we expected, right? अब बटर क्या था, वो उसके पीछे चिपक गया. And they went looking for it all over the room. और वही बटर के लिए वो पूरी रूम ढूंढ रहे थे कि बटर गया कहाँ. मैंने देखा था, but we know it was stuck behind the Harris. It's a comedy of errors, right? Well, let us see what happens. पूरा 11 read कर लो, and then we'll stop, okay?
I saw you do it myself, not again, said Harry. And then they started down the room again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and stared at one another. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. So mysterious, said Harry. Then George got the round and Harry and said, why here it is all the time?
Indigently. Spinning around. Yes. So what happened? I'll take my oath and I put it down on that chair. Said George, मैंने अपने हाथों से बटर उठा के यहाँ पे ये चेयर के ऊपर रखा था, ठीक है? Staring at the empty seat because अब वो सीट पे कुछ था, and because we know where the butter was, right? But was George was saying कि अभी मैंने अपने हाथों से, by God, कसम खा के कहता हूँ, अपने हाथों से यहाँ पे चेयर पे रखा. And now see the seat is empty. I cannot see that. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago, said her. हाँ मैंने देखा है तुमने चेयर के ऊपर रखे, 1 मिनट पहले रखा था, मैंने खुद अपनी आंखों से देखा है कि तूने यही चेयर पे रखा था. Then they started round the room again looking for it. पूरा room छान मारा बटर ढूंढने, है ना? यहाँ वहां गए और फिर से they got back at the center and started looking at one another because they were confused and they were surprised. भी बटर गया, पूरा रूम देख लिया, कहीं पे नहीं मिला. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of. ये तो बहुत ही weird चीज है, बहुत ही extraordinary चीज है यार, ऐसा कभी हुआ नहीं है. So mysterious. बहुत बेचीदा है. Then George got around at the back of Harris. तो मैं जॉर्ज हैरिस के पीछे गया और देखा, ओ बटर जनाब तो यहाँ पे. पूरे रूम में देख लिया लेकिन बटर कहीं नहीं मिला, लेकिन वो था हैरिस जी के पीछे, है ना? तो हैरिस ऑफ कोर्स हैरिस को थोड़ी दिखने वाला था कि बटर कहाँ पे था. तो जॉर्ज गुस्सा होकर बोलता है, एक जगह पे खड़ा नहीं रहे, रुक, stand at one place, he said. Stand still, can't you? Wrote George, flying at him, and they got it off and packed it in a teapot. वहां से बटर निकाला और टीपॉट में. We are never going to do that, even if it is the last butter on this world. दुनिया का आखिरी बटर का पैकेट क्यों नहीं है, हम ऐसा कभी करेंगे नहीं. लेकिन फ्रेंड्स तो फ्रेंड है ना, नहीं होता है, कुछ होते हैं बेटा, आप तो बहुत फिर भी अल्ट्रा रिच. There are few friends who never feel ashamed of it. They'll do everything, and they'll get embarrassed in future for what they did in the past, right? So I think we'll keep it till here. We have to start from number 12. You can mark it so that next time, when we are starting, we should know where did we stop. Any doubts so far, dear students? Any queries? Did you get the basic idea about how the story is, what the story is all about? Is it clear? Which are the characters involved here? 3 characters. The lead, the narrator is Jerome. Okay, his 2 friends called George and Harris. This is the process of packing. Okay, because they are planning to travel. Okay, and Jerome claims that he's the best packer in this world, but somehow he messes up 3 times. The first, Jerome, whether he has put his boots inside or not. The second time, he remembers whether he has put his toothbrush or not. But once he's almost done with the strapping, it is George who asks him that whether he has put the soap inside or not. And to this extent, he gets angry, but somehow he packs the bag. But by then they realize that, they come to know that exactly after 12 hours from here, we have to start journeying. All right. Yes. And also, I'm sorry, I forgot this incident. When he's packed everything, realizing or not giving a damn to soap, he realizes that in the process of packing, he forgot his spectacles inside the bag. And then, he opens the strap very nicely, figures out the spectacles, again packs the bag, and it is 10:05 at night, where all 3 of them decide that they should start traveling exactly after the 12 hours. And that's where that's where George and Harris decide that, they should start packing with the other things, especially the hampers. Okay, and that's where the real scene takes place, where both George and Harris, they mess up with the food items. And the center of the food item is butter. And ultimately, we know what happens with the butter. But finally, they secure the remaining butter, and put it inside the teapot. And another interesting character is about to enter is Montmorency. It's a dog. और डॉग तो डॉग ठीक है तो वो जॉर्ज हैरिस और जेरोम को भी अच्छा कहना है. But anyways, we are eagerly waiting for what happens next. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, dear students. I hope you have understood it. All right. See you next
Yes.
time. Goodbye. Take care. Bye.
Hi, sir.
Sir,
Bye.
belated Happy Teachers Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sir, belated
Happy Teachers Day, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, sir.